Hello there, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. Tonight we drift far from the warmth of the inner solar system, beyond the familiar glow of the sun, toward a world that moves slowly through deep, quiet darkness. This is Uranus, a distant ice giant wrapped in soft blue-green light, turning gently on its side as it travels its long path around the sun. Before we begin, allow yourself to settle comfortably. Let your shoulders soften, your hands rest easily, and your breathing slow without effort. There is nothing you need to focus on, and nothing you need to remember. Whatever belonged to the day can fade quietly into the background, becoming softer with each calm breath. Uranus is a planet of stillness and distance. Sunlight reaches it faintly, spreading gently across its clouds rather than shining brightly. Its seasons last for decades, unfolding so slowly that change itself feels almost motionless. The planet rotates in a quiet, unusual way, tilted on its side, creating long periods of soft light and extended darkness that pass without urgency. As we continue, we'll explore the most relaxing facts about Uranus. We'll observe how it formed, how its calm atmosphere moves, how its faint rings drift silently around it, and how time behaves differently so far from the sun. These facts are not meant to excite or overwhelm. They are meant to slow your thoughts, ease your attention, and guide you gently toward rest. If you enjoy these calm journeys through the gentle side of science, you're always welcome to subscribe and return whenever you need quiet curiosity or peaceful sleep. But for now, allow your awareness to drift outward into the cold, quiet blue of Uranus, where light is soft, motion is slow, and the universe feels patient. Let's begin. Uranus feels calm because it exists at a great distance from the sun, where light arrives gently and warmth is scarce. At this distance, sunlight spreads thinly across the planet's atmosphere, creating a soft glow rather than a bright shine. The energy reaching Uranus is weak and diffuse, which means changes happen slowly. Clouds drift without dramatic contrasts, and the planet's appearance remains steady for long periods of time. This gentle balance between light and darkness creates an environment where nothing feels rushed, and the planet can continue its quiet journey around the sun in a state of near constant stillness. One of the most soothing facts about Uranus is the way it rotates on its side, tilted by about 98 degrees. Instead of spinning upright like most planets, Uranus rolls along its orbit, presenting different hemispheres to the sun for extremely long periods. Each pole can experience decades of continuous sunlight followed by decades of darkness. These extended seasons are so long that they soften the idea of time itself. On Uranus, a single season lasts longer than an entire human lifetime, creating a sense of patience and calm that feels far removed from the fast rhythms of life closer to the sun. Uranus is often described as an ice giant, but the word ice here refers not to frozen surfaces, but to the presence of water, ammonia, and methane deep within its interior. These substances exist under immense pressure, forming a thick, slushy mantle that surrounds the planet's core. This interior structure is stable and layered, with each region held in place by gravity and pressure. There is no surface to stand on, and no sharp boundary where one layer ends and another begins. Instead, Uranus transitions smoothly from gas to liquid-like states, reinforcing the idea of gradual change and quiet balance. The blue-green colour of Uranus comes from methane in its upper atmosphere, which absorbs red light and reflects blue wavelengths back into space. This process happens continuously and quietly, without flashes or bursts. The result is a soft, uniform colour that remains consistent over time. This muted hue is one of the most visually calming colours in astronomy, suggesting cold, depth, and stillness. When imagined drifting in space, Uranus appears as a distant, peaceful orb, wrapped in gentle colour rather than sharp contrast. Uranus has some of the coldest temperatures measured in the solar system, even colder than Neptune in some regions. This extreme cold is not chaotic, it is steady, The planet radiates very little internal heat compared to other giant planets, which means its atmosphere is not strongly driven by heat rising from below. Without strong internal energy pushing upward, the atmosphere remains relatively subdued. Winds still exist, but they're part of a quiet, large-scale circulation, rather than violent storms. The cold acts like a calming influence, keeping the planet's activity restrained. The winds on Uranus can be fast, but they move within a calm atmospheric structure. They follow predictable paths around the planet, shaped by its rotation and temperature gradients. These winds do not produce the dramatic bands and storms seen on Jupiter. Instead, they create subtle patterns that can persist for years. From a distance, these motions are almost invisible, reinforcing the feeling that Uranus is a world where movement happens quietly and without spectacle. Uranus is surrounded by a faint system of rings that are thin, dark, and narrow. Unlike Saturn's bright and expansive rings, Uranus's rings are subtle and difficult to see. They circle the planet silently, composed of small particles that reflect very little light. These rings do not dominate the planet's appearance. They remain understated, adding to the sense that Uranus is a place of quiet detail rather than bold display. Their steady orbits continue uninterrupted, guided by gravity and time. The planet also has a collection of moons that orbit in calm, distant paths. Many of these moons are named after characters from literature, reflecting a sense of poetry rather than mythology. They move around Uranus without dramatic interactions, each following a stable orbit shaped long ago. The moons contribute to the feeling that Uranus exists within a quiet system, where everything has settled into place and continues without disturbance. Uranus takes about 84 Earth years to complete one orbit around the Sun. This long year stretches time in a way that feels gentle and unhurried. The planet moves slowly along its path, covering vast distances over decades. From this perspective, a single orbit is not an event but a slow journey. The Sun appears as a distant point of light, barely changing position in the sky over many years. This slow motion reinforces the idea that Uranus exists in a realm where patience is natural and haste has no role. Perhaps the most relaxing aspect of Uranus is that it does not demand attention. It does not flare brightly, erupt with constant storms, or dominate the night sky. It exists quietly at the edge of the visible solar system, content to remain distant and calm. Its sideways rotation, soft colour, faint rings, and long seasons combine to create a world that feels removed from urgency. Uranus reminds us that not everything in the universe needs to be loud or dramatic. Some worlds simply drift, cold and blue, turning slowly through space as time unfolds gently around them. Uranus continues to feel calm because it exists in a region of the solar system where external influences are weak and distant. Solar radiation is faint, solar storms rarely reach with strength, and gravitational interactions are gentle and predictable. The planet moves through space with little disturbance, following a smooth orbital path that rarely changes. This stability allows Uranus to maintain its quiet state over immense spans of time, reinforcing the feeling that it belongs to a slower, softer part of the universe where nothing presses for attention. One deeply soothing fact about Uranus is that its atmosphere appears visually simple when compared to other giant planets. There are no bold stripes, no constant swirling storms dominating its face, and no dramatic colour contrasts. Instead, the atmosphere blends into a smooth gradient of blue-green tones. Subtle cloud features may appear and fade, but they do so gently, often over long periods. This simplicity gives Uranus a calm visual identity, like a softly painted sphere resting against the darkness of space. Uranus also has a very unusual magnetic field, one that is tilted and offset from the planet's centre. Instead of being neatly aligned with its rotation, the magnetic field wanders as the planet spins. While this might sound complex, it creates a slow, rhythmic variation rather than chaotic change. The magnetosphere gently shifts orientation, interacting with the solar wind in a quiet, repeating pattern. This creates an unseen dance of charged particles that happens far from view, silently and steadily, adding to Uranus's calm character. The planet's internal structure contributes greatly to its peaceful nature. Beneath the atmosphere lies a thick mantle of icy fluids under extreme pressure. These materials do not flow quickly like water on Earth. They move slowly, shaped by gravity and pressure over millions of years. There are no sudden movements or sharp boundaries. Everything transitions gradually, creating a layered interior that remains stable and balanced. This deep stillness inside Uranus mirrors the calm seen on its exterior. Uranus emits very little internal heat compared to other giant planets, and this fact alone explains much of its tranquil behavior. Jupiter and Saturn release large amounts of heat from their interiors, fueling storms and atmospheric motion. Uranus, however, radiates only a small amount of internal energy. Without that driving force, its atmosphere remains subdued. The lack of internal heat allows the planet to remain cold and calm, with fewer disturbances and a more uniform appearance over time. The long periods of darkness experienced by Uranus's poles add another layer of serenity. During polar night, one hemisphere can remain in darkness for decades. In these long nights, temperatures remain stable and changes occur slowly. There is no rapid sunrise or sunset, no daily cycle to disrupt the environment. This extended darkness creates an image of stillness, where time stretches gently and the planet rests in shadow for years at a sea of time. Uranus's relationship with the Sun is distant and quiet. The Sun appears much smaller from Uranus than it does from Earth, shining weakly against a star-filled sky. Its light is gentle and cold, lacking the warmth we associate with sunlight closer in. This faint illumination reinforces the idea that Uranus exists on the edge of influence, where the Sun is no longer a dominant force but simply one distant light among many. The discovery of Uranus itself reflects its subtle nature. It was the first planet discovered with a telescope, remaining unnoticed by ancient observers because it is faint and slow-moving. For centuries, Uranus drifted quietly through the sky, mistaken for a star. This long period of anonymity adds to its calm identity. Uranus does not stand out loudly. It reveals itself only to patient observation, rewarding quiet attention rather than demanding notice. Uranus's moons follow orbits that are generally stable and well-spaced. While some show signs of geological activity or unusual surfaces, their movements remain orderly. They circle the planet in silence, shaped by gravity and time. Each moon continues its path without collision or chaos, contributing to the overall sense of balance within the Uranian system. Together, the planet and its moons form a quiet family drifting through space. The planet's distance also places it beyond many of the dramatic events that shape the inner solar system. Asteroid impacts are less frequent, solar radiation is weaker, and interactions with other planets are minimal. Uranus exists in relative isolation, protected by distance. This isolation allows it to remain undisturbed for long stretches of time, reinforcing the feeling that it belongs to a calm outer realm where change happens slowly and predictably. Uranus reminds us that not all planets are defined by activity or spectacle. Some worlds are defined by restraint. Its cold temperatures, soft colours, faint rings, and long seasons combine to create a planet that feels peaceful rather than powerful. It exists as a quiet presence in the solar system, drifting slowly, rotating gently, and holding its place without struggle. Perhaps the most comforting idea about Uranus is that it demonstrates how the universe allows stillness to exist naturally. There is no requirement for constant motion or dramatic display. Uranus simply continues, year after long year, season after long season, maintaining its calm balance. In its distant orbit, wrapped in pale blue light, Uranus shows that rest can exist even on a planetary scale, and that sometimes the most profound beauty comes from worlds that move slowly and remain quiet. Uranus continues its calm existence through the way its atmosphere responds slowly to change. Because the planet receives so little sunlight, temperature differences across its globe are subtle and muted. Heat does not rush from one region to another. Instead, energy spreads gently, creating broad atmospheric layers that remain stable for long periods. This slow redistribution of heat means that storms take a long time to form and an equally long time to fade. Nothing happens suddenly. The atmosphere behaves like a slow-moving ocean of gas, drifting patiently under weak sunlight and low internal heat. Another soothing aspect of Uranus is the way its clouds form at different depths, creating soft layers rather than sharp boundaries. Methane clouds float high in the atmosphere, while deeper layers may contain clouds of hydrogen sulfide and ammonia. These clouds are not dramatic or towering. They spread gently, forming thin veils rather than dense walls. Over time, they can shift slightly, appearing and disappearing without urgency. This layered structure creates a sense of depth and softness, as if the planet is wrapped in multiple calm blankets of gas. Uranus's extreme tilt creates a unique and peaceful relationship between the planet and its seasons. Instead of experiencing regular yearly changes like Earth, Uranus experiences seasons that last decades. During these long seasons, the Sun moves very slowly across the sky, barely changing position from one year to the next. This gradual motion reduces contrast and minimizes rapid environmental shifts. It feels as if the planet lives in extended moments rather than passing days, allowing each season to settle fully before gently giving way to the next. The planet's faint ring system adds to its quiet character by remaining almost invisible. These rings are dark, narrow, and composed of relatively large particles that reflect very little light. They do not glow brightly or dominate the view. Instead, they hover quietly around Uranus, circling endlessly in thin paths. Their presence is subtle, noticed only by careful observation, reinforcing the idea that Uranus reveals its details slowly and rewards patience rather than attention-seeking brilliance. Uranus's interaction with the solar wind is also gentle compared to planets closer to the Sun. The solar wind arrives weakened and dispersed, interacting with Uranus's magnetic field in a soft, stretched-out way. Instead of violent magnetic storms, the planet experiences slow variations in its magnetosphere. Charged particles are guided calmly along magnetic field lines, creating a quiet exchange of energy that happens far from view, deep in space, without sound or visible disruption. The interior of Uranus remains one of the most mysterious and tranquil aspects of the planet. Scientists believe that beneath its atmosphere lies a thick, warm layer of supercritical fluids, substances that are neither fully liquid nor gas. These materials move slowly under immense pressure, circulating over millions of years. This motion is not turbulent like boiling water. It is smooth and gradual, shaped by gravity and rotation. The interior becomes a place of deep stillness, where change happens quietly, hidden far below the clouds. Uranus's orbit itself contributes to its calm identity. The planet follows a nearly circular path around the Sun, maintaining a steady distance over time. This consistent orbit prevents extreme variations in temperature and sunlight. There are no dramatic swings closer to or farther from the Sun. Instead, Uranus maintains a quiet rhythm, repeating the same gentle path through space every 84 Earth years. This repetition adds a comforting predictability to the planet's long-term behavior. The moons of Uranus also enhance the sense of calm within its system. Many of them have smooth, icy surfaces marked by gentle fractures rather than violent impacts. These features suggest slow internal processes rather than explosive activity. The moons move in stable orbits, rarely interacting strongly with one another. Their slow revolutions around Uranus add layers of quiet motion to the system, each moon tracing its own path without disturbance. Uranus's lack of strong radio emissions compared to other giant planets further emphasizes its quiet nature. While Jupiter produces intense radio noise through its powerful magnetosphere, Uranus remains relatively subdued. Its magnetic activity is softer, producing fewer detectable signals. This absence of noise reinforces the idea that Uranus exists in a quieter electromagnetic environment, where even invisible energies remain restrained and gentle. Perhaps one of the most relaxing truths about Uranus is how little it changes on human timescales. Decades can pass with minimal visible difference. Its colour remains consistent, its rings stay faint, its clouds shift slowly. This long-term stability creates a sense of timelessness. Uranus does not respond to short-term events. It moves according to deep cosmic rhythms that unfold far beyond a human lifespan. Uranus quietly teaches that distance brings calm. Far from the sun, far from chaos, and far from constant interaction, the planet exists as a peaceful ice giant drifting through the outer solar system. Its sideways rotation, muted colours, faint rings, and long seasons combine into a world that feels unhurried and serene. In its quiet orbit, Uranus reminds us that sometimes the most restful places are those where change happens so slowly that it feels almost like stillness. Uranus continues to express calm through the way its atmosphere maintains balance over long periods of time. Unlike planets closer to the Sun, where heat differences can drive strong turbulence, Uranus exists in an environment where temperature contrasts are muted. This allows large regions of its atmosphere to remain stable for years at a time. Subtle bands and faint cloud structures may appear, but they move slowly and quietly, blending into the planet's overall softness rather than standing out. The atmosphere behaves less like a storm system and more like a slow drifting layer of mist, suspended gently around the planet. Another deeply relaxing aspect of Uranus is how its long axial tilt affects the flow of sunlight across its surface. When one hemisphere faces the sun for decades, the light arrives at a shallow angle and spreads evenly rather than concentrating heat in one place. This creates a slow, even warming that does not trigger rapid atmospheric responses. When darkness eventually returns, cooling happens just as gradually. The planet adapts without shock. This smooth transition between light and dark reinforces the sense that Uranus exists in a state of gentle adjustment rather than constant reaction. Uranus's pale colour remains remarkably uniform across its globe, adding to its tranquil appearance. There are no sharp borders between bright and dark regions, and no intense contrasts that draw the eye. Instead, the planet appears softly shaded, as if wrapped in a single calm tone. This uniformity reflects the balance of its atmospheric chemistry and the even distribution of methane that absorbs red light. The result is a world that looks peaceful from afar, its surface free from visual noise. The planet's gravity also contributes to its quiet nature. While strong enough to hold a thick atmosphere, Uranus's gravity does not compress its atmosphere into violent motion. Gas layers settle into place, supported gently rather than forced into rapid circulation. This allows the planet's atmosphere to maintain smooth transitions between layers, with pressure and density changing gradually with depth. Everything feels held rather than pushed, suspended rather than strained. Uranus's faint heat emission suggests that much of its internal energy was lost long ago, leaving behind a planet that has settled into equilibrium. This lack of internal heat flow prevents the formation of towering storms or dramatic weather systems. Instead, Uranus remains in a state of thermal calm, where the energy it receives from the sun is only slightly more than the energy it emits. This near balance creates an image of a planet that neither gains nor loses much energy, but simply exists in quiet steadiness. The rings of Uranus contribute further to this feeling of restraint. They do not reflect sunlight brightly, and they do not spread widely. They remain thin, dark, and close to the planet, tracing narrow paths that rarely change. Their particles follow stable orbits, guided by gravity and shaped by nearby moons. These rings feel like quiet companions to the planet rather than dramatic features, adding subtle structure without demanding attention. Uranus's moons also show signs of slow geological processes rather than violent activity. Some surfaces display long cracks and smooth planes that suggest gradual stretching or internal movement over time. These features likely formed slowly, without explosive eruptions or intense collisions. The moons, like the planet itself, appear shaped by patience. They carry the marks of time passing gently, rather than sudden events disrupting their surfaces. The distance between Uranus and the Sun also means that light takes a long time to travel, creating a subtle sense of separation from immediate influence. Sunlight reaching Uranus has already journeyed for hours through space, arriving softened and weakened. This delayed connection reinforces the idea that Uranus lives slightly out of sync with the rest of the solar system, moving to a slower rhythm where immediate reactions are unnecessary. Uranus's magnetosphere, though unusual in shape, interacts quietly with its surroundings. Because the magnetic field is tilted and offset, it sweeps through space in a slow, complex pattern as the planet rotates. This creates gentle variations rather than constant bombardment. Charged particles move along these shifting field lines in controlled paths, forming an invisible environment that remains orderly despite its complexity. Even here, structure replaces chaos. Perhaps the most calming truth about Uranus is that it has no urgency written into its behavior. Its rotation is steady, its orbit is stable, its atmosphere is restrained, its seasons unfold over decades. Everything about the planet suggests that time is not something to rush through, but something to move with slowly. Uranus exists as a quiet reminder that distance, cold, and patience can create harmony, and that in the far reaches of the solar system, calm can be the dominant state rather than the exception. Uranus continues to feel calm through the way its atmosphere responds gently to the passage of time rather than reacting quickly to change. Observations show that large-scale features can remain in place for years, drifting slowly as the planet turns. When clouds appear, they do not erupt suddenly or dominate the planet's appearance. They form quietly, move gradually, and eventually fade without leaving dramatic traces. This slow rhythm gives the impression that Uranus is never in a hurry, allowing its atmosphere to exist in a state of ongoing balance rather than constant adjustment. Another peaceful aspect of Uranus is the way sound would behave there, or rather how it would not behave at all. With no solid surface and a deep gaseous envelope, sound waves would not travel in a familiar way. Any vibration would be quickly absorbed by dense layers of gas, fading almost immediately. This imagined silence adds to the planet's calm identity. Uranus becomes a place where even disturbance would struggle to persist, where motion dissolves quietly into stillness. The planet's relationship with time itself feels softened by its slow rotation. A day on Uranus lasts a little over 17 hours, but because the planet is tilted on its side, the idea of day and night becomes less meaningful near the poles. Instead of regular cycles of sunrise and sunset, there are long periods of steady illumination or extended darkness. This absence of rapid cycles creates a world where time feels stretched and unpressured, where moments do not need to be counted closely. Uranus's pale appearance is also shaped by haze in its upper atmosphere, which scatters light gently and smooths out details. This haze acts like a soft filter, muting sharp contrasts and blending features together. From a distance, the planet appears almost velvety, its surface features softened into a uniform glow. This visual softness contributes to the sense that Uranus is wrapped in calm, protected from harsh clarity. The planet's low internal energy output also means that convection within its atmosphere is limited. On planets like Jupiter, rising heat drives powerful vertical motion. On Uranus, this process is much weaker. Gas layers remain relatively stable, stacked gently rather than constantly overturning. This layered calm allows the atmosphere to behave predictably, with fewer surprises and long-lasting structures that drift rather than churn. Uranus's moons follow orbits that are aligned closely with the planet's equator, even though that equator is tilted relative to the Sun. This alignment suggests a shared history and a system that settled into harmony long ago. The moons move quietly, each tracing a path that has remained stable for millions of years. Their motion adds to the gentle choreography of the Uranian system, where everything appears to have found its place. The planet's distance also shields it from frequent impacts. While collisions can happen anywhere in the solar system, they are far less common so far from the Sun. Uranus spends long periods without interruption, allowing its atmosphere and rings to remain undisturbed. This isolation contributes to a sense of safety and continuity, where external disruptions are rare and the environment remains consistent over time. Uranus's faint auroras provide another example of gentle cosmic activity. When charged particles interact with its magnetic field, they can create subtle emissions near the poles. These auroras are not bright or dramatic. They're faint, fleeting, and difficult to observe, glowing softly in ultraviolet light. Even the planet's light shows restraint, appearing briefly and quietly before fading back into darkness. The idea that Uranus has remained largely unchanged since its formation adds to its restful character. While planets closer to the Sun have undergone significant geological and atmospheric evolution, driven by heat and interaction, Uranus has preserved much of its early structure. This preservation creates a feeling of timelessness, as if the planet has been quietly carrying its original state through billions of years with minimal disturbance. Perhaps the most calming realization about Uranus is that it exists without expectation. It does not host life as we know it, does not dominate the sky, and does not influence nearby worlds dramatically. It simply occupies its orbit, maintaining balance between gravity, motion, and energy. In doing so, Uranus offers a vision of a world where existence itself is enough, where being steady and quiet is not a lack of activity, but a complete and enduring state of harmony. Uranus continues its quiet story through the way its atmosphere carries memory rather than urgency. When changes occur, such as the appearance of a cloud feature or a shift in brightness, these changes often persist gently instead of vanishing quickly. The atmosphere seems willing to hold on to its patterns, allowing them to drift slowly and gradually across the planet's face. This persistence gives Uranus a sense of continuity, as though the planet remembers its recent past and lets it fade only when time itself is ready. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is erased abruptly. Another calming aspect of Uranus is how its faint sunlight spreads across the planet during long seasonal transitions. As Uranus approaches an equinox, light begins to redistribute slowly from one hemisphere to the other. This process takes years, even decades. The sun does not suddenly rise or set in dramatic arcs. Instead, illumination creeps gently across latitudes, creating a gradual balance between light and shadow. This slow movement of light feels like a quiet hand passing across the planet, adjusting brightness with patience rather than force. Uranus's clouds are composed of familiar molecules arranged in unfamiliar ways. Methane, hydrogen, helium, and trace compounds mix under cold conditions, forming clouds that reflect light softly. These clouds do not pile up into towering structures. They remain thin and spread out like veils drifting through a calm sky. The chemistry unfolds without urgency, guided by temperature and pressure rather than energy surges. This gentle chemical balance adds to the planet's serene presence. The planet's gravity holds its atmosphere securely, preventing rapid escape or collapse. Gas molecules remain bound, moving in slow, controlled paths rather than being flung outward. This containment contributes to a sense of stability. Uranus does not appear to be losing itself to space or pulling material inward violently. It holds its layers quietly, maintaining a delicate equilibrium that can last for billions of years. Uranus's internal rotation likely differs between layers, with deeper regions turning at slightly different rates than the upper atmosphere. This differential rotation is not chaotic. It is smooth and gradual, allowing layers to slide past one another without friction that would create heat or turbulence. The planet becomes a place where motion is layered and gentle, each region moving in harmony rather than conflict. The rings of Uranus respond subtly to the planet's gravity and the influence of nearby moons. Over long periods, their shapes and positions may adjust slightly, guided by resonances and gentle gravitational nudges. These adjustments happen slowly, often imperceptibly. The rings are not torn apart or reshaped violently. They continue their quiet dance, changing only when time allows, reinforcing the idea that Uranus's system evolves through patience. Uranus's moons also experience long-term processes that mirror the planet's calm. Surface features suggest gradual internal heating or stretching, not explosive volcanism. Cracks and grooves tell stories of slow movement beneath icy crusts, where stresses were released over extended periods. These moons seem to have adjusted to their environments gently, carrying the marks of slow change rather than sudden upheaval. The planet's distance creates a unique soundscape, or rather, the absence of one. With no solid surface and an atmosphere dominated by gas, sound as we know it would quickly dissipate. Any imagined vibration would be absorbed, scattered, and lost. This reinforces the sense that Uranus exists in profound silence, a place where even disturbances dissolve into quiet almost immediately. Uranus's long orbital period also affects how often external events can influence it. Encounters with comets or interplanetary debris are rare, and when they occur, their effects are localized and temporary. The planet quickly returns to its steady state. This resilience adds to its calming nature. Uranus absorbs small changes and continues onward, unchanged in its overall character. Perhaps the most restful idea about Uranus is that it represents a form of cosmic rest. It is not inactive, but its activity is restrained, measured, and slow. Energy flows gently, light arrives softly, motion unfolds without urgency. Uranus shows that a planet can exist in a state of long-term calm, where balance is maintained not through constant effort, but through the quiet cooperation of gravity, distance, and time. Uranus continues its calm presence through the way its atmosphere reacts gently to the slow passage of seasons rather than to sudden changes. As the planet moves along its long orbit, the balance between sunlight and shadow shifts almost imperceptibly. Temperatures adjust slowly, and atmospheric circulation responds with patience. Instead of sharp boundaries between warm and cold regions, Uranus develops wide zones where conditions blend smoothly. This gradual response creates an atmosphere that feels settled, as though it has all the time it needs to adapt, never feeling rushed by the movement of the sun. Another deeply relaxing aspect of Uranus is how its clouds seem to emerge quietly from within the atmosphere, rather than arriving abruptly. Observations show that cloud features can brighten or fade over months and years, often appearing as soft rounded forms that drift without urgency. These clouds do not dominate the planet's appearance. They blend into the background, reinforcing the idea that Uranus's atmosphere prefers subtlety. Change happens softly, like mist forming and dispersing in slow motion. Uranus's faint internal heat suggests that much of the planet's early energy has already dissipated into space. What remains is a world that has settled into thermal balance. This equilibrium means that there is no strong upward push of heat to drive violent weather. Instead, the atmosphere remains layered and calm, with motion guided by gentle gradients rather than forceful currents. The planet feels like it has reached a resting state, where its internal and external energies are in quiet agreement. The planet's magnetic field, although unusual in shape, behaves in a calm and predictable way over long timescales. As Uranus rotates, its tilted magnetic field sweeps through space in a slow, repeating pattern. Charged particles follow these shifting lines in smooth, controlled paths. The magnetosphere stretches and relaxes gently as it interacts with the solar wind. Even here, in a realm of invisible forces, the motion remains orderly and restrained, reinforcing the sense that Uranus favors balance over intensity. Uranus's relationship with its moons adds another layer of serenity. Each moon follows a stable orbit, influenced gently by gravity and resonance. Over millions of years, these orbits have settled into patterns that rarely change. The moons move quietly, keeping their distance from one another, maintaining harmony within the system. This slow, predictable motion contributes to the overall calm of the Uranian environment, where everything seems to know its place. The faintness of Uranus in the night sky reflects its quiet nature. From Earth, it appears as a small, dim point of light, visible only under dark skies or with optical aid. This subtle presence mirrors the planet's personality. Uranus does not demand attention. It reveals itself only to those who look carefully and patiently. This gentle anonymity adds to its soothing character, making it feel like a secret world drifting silently beyond the reach of everyday awareness. Uranus's distance also means that time feels different there. Signals sent from Earth take hours to arrive, and any response would take just as long to return. This delay creates a sense of separation from immediacy. The planet exists slightly out of sync with the rapid pace of inner worlds, moving according to its own slow rhythm. This separation enhances the feeling that Uranus belongs to a quieter layer of the solar system, where urgency fades naturally. The planet's icy composition contributes to its calm by promoting stability under pressure. Water, ammonia and methane deep inside Uranus exist in states that flow slowly and resist sudden change. These materials respond gradually to forces, absorbing stress rather than releasing it explosively. The interior becomes a place of deep, patient motion, where transformation occurs over immense spans of time, hidden far beneath the tranquil clouds. Uranus's long-lived features suggest that the planet has been in a similar state for billions of years. While small changes occur, the overall character of Uranus remains consistent. Its color, temperature, and atmospheric behavior have likely varied only slightly over vast stretches of time. This persistence creates a sense of timelessness, as if Uranus exists outside the rush of cosmic events, quietly maintaining its identity through the ages. Perhaps the most calming realization about Uranus is that it demonstrates how distance can bring peace. Far from the sun's heat, far from frequent impacts, and far from constant interaction, Uranus has settled into a gentle existence. Its sideways rotation, muted light, and restrained atmosphere combine into a world that feels unhurried and stable. Uranus reminds us that calm is not an absence of motion, but a state where motion unfolds slowly, predictably, and without strain, allowing the planet to drift through space in steady, quiet balance. Uranus continues to express calm through the way its atmosphere responds almost thoughtfully to long-term changes. Rather than reacting sharply to variations in sunlight or internal conditions, the planet's gaseous layers adjust slowly, redistributing energy over years instead of days. This slow adaptation creates a sense of patience built into the planet itself. The atmosphere seems content to wait, allowing temperatures and pressures to settle naturally. Nothing is forced, nothing is hurried. Uranus becomes a world where balance is achieved through time rather than effort. Another soothing truth about Uranus is the way its clouds reflect light softly rather than sharply. Sunlight arriving from the distant sun is already weak, and the planet's atmosphere scatters it further, smoothing edges and reducing contrast. The result is a planet that appears almost matte, as if wrapped in a thin veil. This gentle reflection makes Uranus feel visually quiet, without glare or harsh brightness. The planet does not shine. It glows faintly, offering a steady presence rather than a striking display. Uranus's extreme axial tilt also creates a calm sense of orientationlessness. On many planets, up and down, north and south feel clearly defined. On Uranus, these ideas blur. The planet rolls through space, making its poles face the sun in turn. This unusual motion removes the feeling of strict direction and replaces it with a softer, more fluid sense of movement. The planet does not stand upright. It drifts, allowing gravity and motion to carry it gently along its path. The quiet stability of Uranus's orbit adds another layer of peace. Its path around the Sun is smooth and predictable, shaped by gravity into a gentle ellipse that rarely changes. There are no close encounters with massive planets to disturb its course, no sudden shifts in trajectory. Uranus follows the same route again and again, tracing a calm loop through space that repeats every 84 Earth years. This repetition brings comfort through familiarity, even on a cosmic scale. Uranus's internal layers likely rotate at different speeds, but these differences are subtle and gradual. There is no violent shear tearing the planet apart. Instead, layers slide gently past one another, guided by pressure and rotation. This quiet internal motion suggests a planet that accommodates change rather than resisting it. The interior adjusts slowly, maintaining harmony between its layers, much like a calm current beneath a still surface. The planet's faint ring system continues to circle Uranus without drawing attention. The rings remain thin and dark, composed of particles that move together in orderly paths. They do not spread outward dramatically or collapse inward. Their motion is steady, guided by gravity and time. These rings feel like quiet companions, adding structure without spectacle, reinforcing the planet's understated nature. Uranus's moons further contribute to the feeling of serenity. Each moon follows its own path, rarely interacting strongly with others. Their surfaces show signs of slow geological processes rather than violent events. Cracks and grooves tell stories of gradual change, where internal stresses were relieved over long periods. These moons seem to exist in harmony with their environment, shaped by patience rather than force. The planet's magnetosphere, although complex, behaves calmly over long periods. Its tilted magnetic field creates shifting regions of interaction with the solar wind, but these interactions are spread out and gentle. Charged particles move along curved paths, guided quietly by magnetic lines. Even invisible forces on Uranus behave with restraint, following patterns that repeat slowly and predictably. Uranus also experiences long intervals where very little changes at all. Years can pass without noticeable differences in its appearance. This lack of constant activity creates a sense of deep rest. The planet seems content to remain as it is, allowing time to flow around it rather than pushing against it. In this way, Uranus feels like a place where stillness is not temporary but natural. Perhaps the most calming realization about Uranus is that it exists without urgency or ambition. It does not seek to change quickly or stand out. It simply continues year after long year, drifting through space in soft blue light. Its slow seasons, faint rings, gentle atmosphere, and distant orbit combine to create a world defined by quiet endurance. Uranus reminds us that calm can be a lasting state, and that sometimes the most peaceful journeys are those that move slowly, guided by balance rather than speed. Uranus continues to embody calm through the way it allows time to stretch without resistance. The planet does not measure its existence in days or short cycles, but in long arcs of motion that take decades to complete. As it moves through space, its environment remains largely unchanged from one year to the next. This steadiness creates a sense that Uranus is not concerned with progression or milestones. It simply continues, allowing time to pass gently around it, unmarked by urgency or interruption. Another peaceful truth about Uranus is how its atmosphere seems to soften everything it touches. Light entering the upper layers is scattered and diffused, reducing sharpness and blending features together. This creates an impression of smoothness, as though the planet is wrapped in a calming haze. Details never feel harsh or overwhelming. Instead, everything appears subdued, inviting the mind to rest rather than analyze. Uranus becomes visually quiet, offering no sudden contrast to disturb the senses. Uranus's long nights contribute deeply to its tranquil character. In regions where darkness lasts for decades, temperatures stabilize and change becomes minimal. There is no daily rhythm of light and shadow to stimulate constant adjustment. Instead, the planet rests in extended stillness, allowing its atmosphere to settle into equilibrium. These long nights feel like cosmic pauses where the planet can remain undisturbed for years at a time. The planet's weak internal heat flow also means that its atmosphere is not constantly being stirred from below. Without strong upward currents, gas layers remain gently stacked, maintaining order rather than turbulence. This restraint allows Uranus to avoid the dramatic storms seen on other giant planets. The atmosphere behaves like a calm lake rather than a boiling surface, reinforcing the sense that Uranus exists in a state of quiet balance. Uranus's distance from the Sun places it in a region where gravity dominates more than radiation. Solar influence is faint, and the planet's behavior is governed mostly by its own mass and motion. This creates a self-contained system where external forces have limited impact. The planet feels independent and insulated, free from the constant push and pull experienced closer to the Sun. This isolation enhances its peaceful nature. The subtle variations in Uranus's cloud patterns occur so slowly that they are difficult to notice without careful observation over long periods. When changes do appear, they unfold gradually, blending into the planet's overall appearance rather than standing out. This slow evolution allows the planet to remain visually consistent, creating a sense of familiarity and comfort even as time passes. Uranus's moons also experience long periods of stability, reflecting the calm of their parent planet. Their orbits remain steady, and their surfaces change only over geological timescales. These moons quietly accompany Uranus on its journey, adding layers of gentle motion to the system. Together, the planet and its moons form a quiet ensemble, moving in harmony through the outer solar system. The planet's magnetosphere, though oddly shaped, does not produce constant energetic activity. Instead, it responds slowly to changes in the solar wind, adjusting its shape over time. This measured response avoids sudden bursts of energy, keeping interactions soft and spread out. Even invisible forces around Uranus prefer gradual shifts over rapid events. Uranus's presence in the solar system is understated. It does not dominate discussions or capture attention easily, yet it remains essential, contributing to our understanding of planetary formation and diversity. This quiet importance mirrors its physical nature. Uranus shows that something does not need to be loud or dramatic to matter. Its value lies in its steadiness and uniqueness rather than spectacle. Perhaps the most soothing realization about Uranus is that it exists comfortably within its own rhythm. It does not rush toward change or resist it. It accepts slow transformation as part of its nature. In doing so, Uranus becomes a symbol of calm persistence, a world that moves gently through space, content to remain distant, cold, and serene as the universe continues its quiet expansion around it. Uranus continues to express calm through the way it carries its past without tension. The planet formed billions of years ago from the same ancient material that built the rest of the solar system, yet it has preserved a quiet version of that history. Its layers remain largely undisturbed, holding on to their original structure rather than being reshaped by constant upheaval. This sense of preservation gives Uranus a timeless quality, as if it is gently holding a memory of the early solar system in a stable, unchanging form. Another deeply soothing fact about Uranus is that it experiences very little seasonal urgency. While seasons do exist, they unfold over such long timescales that no single moment feels decisive. There is no sudden arrival of summer or abrupt shift into winter. Instead, changes arrive so slowly that the planet's atmosphere has ample time to adapt. This gradual unfolding creates an environment where nothing feels rushed, and every transition feels natural, like a slow breath taken over decades. Uranus's faint sunlight creates an environment where shadows are soft rather than sharp. The light does not strike the atmosphere with intensity. It spreads gently, reducing contrast and creating smooth gradients instead of stark edges. This softness adds to the planet's calming visual presence, Everything appears muted and balanced, inviting the mind to rest in the absence of strong visual stimulation. The planet's distance also means that cosmic noise from the Sun is greatly reduced. Solar flares, bursts of charged particles, and other energetic events lose much of their strength before reaching Uranus. By the time they arrive, they are softened and dispersed. This shielding effect allows Uranus to exist in a quieter electromagnetic environment, where disturbances are rare and gentle rather than frequent and intense. Uranus's slow rotation of atmospheric features reinforces its tranquil character. Cloud bands and subtle markings can take long periods to complete a circuit around the planet. Their movement is smooth and unhurried, guided by large-scale circulation rather than localized storms. Watching Uranus over time would feel like observing slow clouds drifting across a still sky, where motion exists but never demands attention. The planet's interior likely contains layers that have been slowly cooling since its formation. This long cooling process has reduced internal activity and allowed the planet to settle into equilibrium. Cooling happens gradually, without sudden releases of energy. This steady loss of heat contributes to Uranus's calm demeanor, making it feel like a world that has already passed through its more active phases and now rests quietly in maturity. Uranus's rings and moons respond to gravity in predictable, gentle ways. Their motions are governed by long-established relationships that rarely change. These interactions are not violent. They are subtle adjustments that maintain stability within the system. The entire Uranian environment feels coordinated, as if every component understands its role and moves accordingly without conflict. The planet's pale color remains consistent even as seasons change, reinforcing its sense of constancy. Unlike worlds where appearance shifts dramatically with storms or eruptions, Uranus maintains its soft blue-green hue over time. This consistency creates visual comfort, making the planet feel reliable and familiar despite its distance. Uranus's isolation also means that it is rarely influenced by the gravitational pull of other large planets. Its orbit remains smooth and undisturbed, allowing it to continue its journey without sudden changes in direction or speed. This freedom from interference enhances the sense that Uranus exists in a protected, quiet region of space where stability is the norm. Perhaps the most calming truth about Uranus is that it embodies the idea of cosmic rest. It is not inactive, but its activity is gentle and restrained. Light arrives softly, energy moves slowly, and time unfolds without pressure. Uranus drifts through the outer solar system as a reminder that stillness can be powerful, that distance can bring peace, and that a world does not need constant motion or drama to exist fully and beautifully within the universe. As this quiet journey through Uranus settles gently in your mind, there is nothing left to follow and nothing you need to hold on to. Far from the Sun, Uranus can continue its slow, sideways drift through space, wrapped in soft blue light. Whether you think about it or not, the planet does not hurry, and neither do you need to. You may notice your thoughts becoming lighter now, spreading out like faint clouds in a distant sky. That is perfectly natural. Uranus does not rush toward endings, and your mind does not need to reach one either. Everything can remain open, calm, and unforced. Let your breathing stay slow and easy. Let your body rest exactly where it is. Imagine that distant ice giant turning quietly in the dark, its long seasons unfolding without urgency, its faint rings circling in silence, its atmosphere drifting gently under cold, distant light. Nothing pulls, nothing pushes. Everything simply continues. Uranus reminds us that stillness is not emptiness. It is balance without effort. It is motion without noise. It is time moving so slowly that it feels like rest. In that vast distance, the planet holds its place calmly, showing us that peace can exist on a planetary scale. Thank you for spending this time with the sleepy scientist. Whenever the world feels loud or your thoughts feel heavy, you're always welcome to return. The universe will still be here, wide and quiet, unfolding gently in the background. For now, allow the calm to remain. Let the soft blue of Uranus fade into comfort, and let whatever comes next arrive naturally. Good night.